We are just one night in, and arguably, we are 50% of the way there to what I feel, in my honest opinion, could be one of the greatest WrestleManias ever. Hey everybody, SonGoshuaku here, and welcome to my review of WWE WrestleMania 37. You know, sometimes Mother Nature just does not want to collaborate with you, and that was what happened tonight with WrestleMania 37, as we basically got a 30-minute plus extension of the pre-show. But once all that was taken care of, and we did get some very entertaining improvised promos throughout the first 30 minutes plus, it was time to finally get started with WrestleMania. Well, first let me say we did get Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil, of course, coming out to do their WrestleMania hosting, and we got the national anthem, and it was good to see fans in attendance. It was good to have that organic, audible crowd noise and not piped in. With all that said, let's get into the first match for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre taking on Bobby Lashley. A common theme with WrestleMania this year was that the build-up was extremely underwhelming, unfortunately, especially when it came down to this match, the Hurt Business being broken up so soon, and it looked like everything was poised for Bobby Lashley to pretty much lose. But this match was hard-hitting. Even their promo, I loved when Drew McIntyre was all in Bobby Lashley's face, and he's all like, basically, Mother Nature can't save you from this ass whooping or something like that. And they were intense even during the promos, and this match basically was that intense as you would expect it to be. The crowd gave Drew McIntyre a huge ovation, which I'm glad, and they booed Bobby Lashley, so you got that real organic babyface heel dynamic, and they both went at it. And I like this so much better than their match they had last year on pay-per-view. They went at it, and we saw some really nice things in this match, and that was a common theme as we'll go through this review, is that Drew McIntyre was just dropping out all the stops and everything. He's doing dives over the ropes at one point. He's hitting Bobby Lashley with everything like a Future Shock DDT 3 times in a row, and Bobby Lashley still kicks out. He kept trying to apply the Hurt Lock, kept getting on out of it. The match was building and building up, and it was going really good. Both these guys were definitely in the WrestleMania moment and everything, and I definitely really, like I said, it was a good match. It was something that you definitely won't see on Monday Night Raw. And then when you get to the ending of the match here, MVP distracted Drew McIntyre, and I did like the finish here because Drew McIntyre, he basically is in the Hurt Lock, and he jumps off the rope with his feet, pulling out the old Steve Austin and Bret Hart Survivor Series 1996 match. Now, the thing about this, I'm watching this, and I'm like, yep, he's done watched it, but Bobby Lashley holds on. He's like, nah, I didn't watch that match too. You ain't getting out of this lock. And he just crams it in really hard with the Hurt Lock, and in the surprise of the night for me, Bobby Lashley makes Drew McIntyre go to sleep and retains the WWE Championship. And I'm like, oh, I didn't expect this. I thought they were gonna give Drew McIntyre his moment, so it was a huge swerve. And even though Drew doesn't get that moment in front of the fans like he was hoping to last year, I am not mad at all with this outcome. Bobby Lashley has been a long time coming to get in this type of spot, to get this world championship, and I want to see him go on and have a lengthy championship reign. So hats off to both guys. I definitely don't think this is the end of Drew McIntyre. Hopefully they will go ahead and build him up pretty strong and give something sort of a new dimension to his character, and yeah, the almighty era. Hopefully they bring the Hurt Business back, but we guess we'll gotta see with that. Moving on to the next match. So it was a WWE Women's Tag Team Titles qualifying match, with the winners, of course, taking on current champions Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax tomorrow night. So this match was Dana Brooke and Mandy Rhodes versus Lana and Naomi versus Natalya and Tamina versus the Riot Squad, consisting of Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott, also taking on Carmella and Billie Kay. So this was probably the, I guess you could say, weakest match of the night, but I thought the result of it was pretty good. First of all, some of the things here about this match, you had Naomi and Lana, who I thought had the most build-up to most momentum in terms of the build-up to this match over the past months in their rivalry, lose right out the bat, like just lose right there. Carmella, Billie Kay has been hilarious, the way she's been doing her comedy gimmick, but her and Carmella basically as a makeshift team, why break up the Iconics, and then you had the Riot Squad. They were basically the ones who were dominating most of this match. There was an unfortunate mess up, unfortunately. Poor Mandy Rose. She ended up tripping on her way down the ramp, and I even think she had a wardrobe malfunction, and it's just, man, it's like it wasn't Mandy Rose's night, and she was in one of the top storylines last year, but ultimately in the end this match was won by Natalya and Tamina, and you know what, I'm okay with that, giving Tamina and Natalya some sort of big win. Just this time, go all the way with it. They've had so many stop and start pushes, go all the way with it, and I hope they win the titles tomorrow night because I'm ready for Shayna and Nia to split. Moving on to the next match, Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, and I'm pretty sure a lot of fans had the expectations that this match is gonna steal the show, and honestly, this was a great match. The story was really well done as Seth Rollins was basically trying to escape basically from getting swung around again, and Cesaro, this was of course his first ever big one-on-one match, and he did get about like nine swings on him, and then his arm, I guess, tired out. I didn't know if that was going to be the end of it, and man, we saw some nice moves broken out. Like Seth Rollins did this crazy move where it was sort of like a frog splash, but a twisting frog splash, and it was really good. Like, they were just breaking out some nice new moves that you don't really see, and I appreciate that. Every match on this show seemed to add something different that you don't usually see, and that's what you want, something to make these matches stand out and be memorable. And in the end, Cesaro does manage to get the swing, but before that, he does a crazy airplane spin with no arms. He's just like spinning him around with his fists right next to his waist, and just putting his arms out, and it's like, whoa, that was sick. The incredible strength and athleticism of this man is incredible. I just, wow. And then he did do the swing 23 times on Seth Rollins, and then after that, he hit the neutralizer on him for the 1, 2, 3. Cesaro picks up a big win, and if you've been following what I was saying when I've been a guest on the No DQ website, definitely shout out to them, check them out. I was basically saying that I think Cesaro is that type of nice slow burn they got going when you're building him up right now. You can build him up basically to possibly take on who I'm hoping wins the triple threat main event tomorrow, which is Roman Reigns. And so I really love it. Great, and it had some awesome moments that we will remember. So definitely nothing less than what you would expect from these two wrestlers. Moving on to the next match. For the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships, The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods taking on AJ Styles and Omos. Now, I gotta be honest, you're going into this match with Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and AJ Styles, three of the most talented performers we have in the ring, but yet, in terms of my interest level for this match, I wanted to see what Omos was gonna do, because I thought it was gonna be something funny, something entertaining. I'm just waiting. I was even trolling my friends going like, if I was there, I'd be chanting, "We want Omos! We want Omos!" So, overall, the AJ Styles, I hope he got paid a lot of money for this match, because he did, like, double duty. It was almost like a handicap match, and almost, I thought it was just funny, because he would extend his arm out, but he wouldn't bend over just to, like, try and give some more momentum to make it closer, so it's like, he wasn't doing much in the match, but when the time came and they tagged Omos, this is where you wish Jim Ross was still calling the action in WWE, because he would have put it over. By God, this 7-foot tall guy. It reminded me, if you guys are Dragon Ball fans out there and played the original Dragon Ball sparking games known as Tenkaichi games in America, Broly and other characters had this brick wall effect where you punch and kick and all your offense just bounced right off of them. And that's exactly what it felt like when you had Omos in the ring right there. Omos basically was just, all their attacks was bouncing off this guy. He was slapping him around, throwing them around, and in the end, he slams, I think it was Kingston, and man, me and my friends, we were watching this on a virtual meetup and everything, and we were saying that it's gonna be fun if he pins him with one, or my friends say they're gonna pin him with 1 foot, and he did. He pinned him. He pinned him, Great Khali to the Undertaker style. If you guys remember that match when he beat him, Taker with a chop and pinned him. And it was hilarious. The backbreakers from Omos look devastating because he's so tall, so it's like their arms and legs were dingling. So, you know what? When you look at this match, I was entertained. I was entertained by Omos, basically, just coming in here and squashing these guys. And you know the New Day's going to get their title match, another tag team titles match. But instead, here we go. Omos and AJ. You know, this guy Omos has just got it good in WWE. He's had to put in minimum effort in terms of what they've had him doing from a physical standpoint. And look at this, WrestleMania and tag team champion. So big shout out to Omos. He was entertaining for what they did in the ring. He was entertaining. This is what you should do. Like Paul Heyman always says, highlight someone's strength and hide their weaknesses. And we get what I thought was a pretty entertaining squash. Moving on to our next match, Shane McMahon versus Braun Strowman, and the first ever Nickelodeon match. I'm just kidding, but I probably got the amount of Nicks wrong too in terms of that, but it was a very Nickelodeon-esque build up to this match, but instead it was a steel cage match, first steel cage match that we've ever gotten since 1986 for the WrestleMania 2 match. Yeah, that one. Once again, I didn't have much interest level in this match with the way it had been built up. Braun Strowman came out looking in the best shape of his entire career, and the story of this match was pretty simple. Jackson Riker and Elias came out and actually attacked Strowman's leg before he could get in the ring, and from most of that part in the steel cage, a lot of the offense was done by Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon was basically taking it to Strowman, and he almost got out of the ring, but Strowman in the end was able to pow his arm right through the cage and grab Shane McMahon and like just rip part of the cage wall and throw him back in the ring. And then he placed him on top of the rope, and this looked like it sucked. You always know Shane McMahon's gonna take one of these big bumps, and basically Braun takes this guy and chucks him off the 15-foot steel cage pretty much to the other side of the ring, and Shane falls back first right onto the mat, which sucks. Usually, you know, they'll go through the mat and have some cushions and stuff in there. I think arguably this probably had to be, even though it wasn't as far of a distance we've seen Shane go, it may have been one of the most painful bumps he's ever taken, next to, what was it, the one from Hell in a Cell, WrestleMania 32 with The Undertaker. But man, this looked like it sucked. It was painful, but it was a big move. We saw Shane hit the coast to coast while Braun Strowman was going away, which we never seen him hit it that way. Usually his opponent's already set up in the corner, but to hit him midway while they're crawling out the corner, that was cool. So you know what, for all the build up, it was worth it for that big spot, that big match, giving Strowman another big moment at WrestleMania after, you know, beating Goldberg last year. And like I said, heck of a bump that Shane McMahon took, especially at his age, and you know, he has no reason to do it, and that's why fans respect Shane McMahon as a performer in the ring. So yeah, I you know, pleasantly surprised. This match gave me a memorable moment that I'm always going to remember. That bump at the end was sick. Another common thing that I said is about this WrestleMania, each match having something to remember it. Next we had Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus The Miz and Morrison. Once again, a build-up that I basically kind of thought was underwhelming, but totally understand that they want to try and capitalize off of the millions or billions of fans that he has worldwide, that being Bad Bunny. But in terms of the match, here's the thing. I was thinking going into this match, I'm thinking like, okay, this guy has been training for 4 months. You hear people like Randy Orton during his Twitter rants against Soulja Boy, and you see that Randy Orton talks about how much respect Bad Bunny has for the industry, and it showed in this match. A well-deserved round of applause for Bad Bunny, because that man put the work in. He spent more time in this match than even Damian Priest. Like, this at points was almost like a one-on-one match between him and The Miz. He really went in there. He was pushing out and doing some good, pretty nice execution of moves. Like, it looked like he had been training for this for several months, and it showed. I mean, in the crowd, he won the crowd over. They were chanting, "Bunny, Bunny." Damian Priest looked good. Miz and Morrison definitely did their part. I mean, just, it was good. To me, this was very reminiscent of Ronda Rousey just a few years ago at WrestleMania, when she just came in and just did this like she's been doing it naturally, basically. Not saying that he was on that level, but he really delivered in the ring with a great performance. My hat goes off to him. Even the ending when he did a Canadian Destroyer to take out Morrison, the way this was sold with the facial expressions, like Damian Priest was just shocked, The Miz was shocked, like they had seen a ghost. And that's what's cool, because you see a move like the Canadian Destroyer used over and over and over and over, and they just go to the next move. This is how you sell a move that everyone's doing. They sold this move, like I said, like they had seen a ghost. And in the end, Damian Priest and Bad Bunny, of course, pick up the win, and this was a fun tag team match. Another great match, something I'm going to remember. So, you know, much respect to Bad Bunny, because Bad Bunny proves that when you have a celebrity that is a true fan, respects the business, and is not here just for the sole purpose of basically getting a paycheck or just promoting and not caring about helping promote the product, this guy went all out in that ring, and much respect to him. Once again, really fun tag team match. Now, before we move on to our main event, I will say it was really cool to see Bayley being used all throughout the show with the NWO and coming out there to chastise Michael Cole again. So it's really cool to see. I wish she would have been the host, but in a way it felt like she was doing more of the hosting duties than you saw what you saw from Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan. So glad they found some sort of spot to put Bayley on and see what they do tomorrow night. Now, on to the main event. The WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. The EST of WWE, Bianca Belair versus the Boss, Sasha Banks. This was one of the matches that I was looking forward to the most. Unfortunately, the build-up for this match was severely poor. It was so simple. Just have the EST and the Boss brag about themselves and trash talk and build up more and more tension as you go along. But they didn't do that. Instead, they put Reginald in there with some sort of this love triangle mess and whatever, and it just fell flat. Kudos, however, to the WWE editing team, who did a fantastic job on this video package and sort of pretty much made this what the build-up should have been. Just having it filter with trash talk, showing their training. The mere fact they used so many clips that had nothing to actually even do with this feud tells you how much even the editors themselves realized how much better this whole build-up should have been. All the build-up aside, them being in the main event, last minute of course, added by WWE, was huge. This is the second time women are main eventing WrestleMania, and it was up to these ladies to deliver. And I'm going to tell you, they absolutely didn't just deliver, they over-delivered. This match just honestly couldn't have been nearly any more perfect than what it actually was. They got at it from the get-go. They were going at it. So many reverses, the psychology, the strategy. It was Bianca constantly using her power and Sasha Banks constantly using her counters and trying to do whatever she could to finally get the upper hand on Bianca. There was so many cool spots where you thought, oh, she got her, no, she didn't, and then the next woman, oh, maybe she's got her and then she didn't. Like Sasha Banks goes through the ropes and lands the whole tope suicida, and you think, oh, she nailed her, but no, Bianca rolls her up, throws her into the gorilla press slam position, and walks up the stairs and throws her over not the barricade, but over the turnbuckle. And I'm like, oh, so many moves I did not expect. Sasha Banks even does this crazy move where she does a tornado DT, jumps off the ropes, hits hits the other middle part of the ropes and then lands the move like crazy. Like, just so many reverses. She constantly kept going back and forth to Bianca's hair, which honestly, from a psychology standpoint, doesn't make any sense in a fight to have your hair just dangling in a ponytail that long. But hey, Bianca used it to her, Sasha used it to her advantage against Bianca, and it just, man, the match was just so back and forth, non-stop action. It was incredible. Definitely gonna go down as one of my favorite main events, if not top 10, very close to it. And even as we get towards the end of the match, where Sasha basically is trying to lock on the bank statement, basically she even uses her Bianca's ponytail and wraps it around her arms and pulls it out, pulls her back on it. It's like, wow, just so many nice innovative spots. Towards the end, Bianca Belair does hit a 450 splash. If I had one nitpick, I thought the emotions a little bit too high here. Like, it was a signature move, not a finisher move. Like, this was more, Bianca acted in a way that I thought you would more so act if someone kicked out of your finisher. And even in the beginning of the match, Bianca and Sasha almost started tearing up and like, oh, come on, get it together, girls, get it together, save all the crying for the end of the match. Because just imagine if this was Rock and Steve Austin, and imagine they both started crying in the beginning because they're in the main event. You know, that's not what you wanted to see. You wanted to see these two guys get in each other's face, trash talk, and go at it. But I do appreciate the emotion to seeing just how genuine this was, and the crowd was hot for this match. They were chanting back, Bianca, let's go Sasha, let's go Bianca. And so it was really great, and it just really shows, because I thought this was way better than the first women's main event match we had at WrestleMania 35, you know, which unfortunately that had to follow, what, an 8-hour show, whereas this was 4-hour show. So, you know, that night two really helped pay it off. And I just thought overall this was a far better match, just having it one-on-one like it should be between these two women. But where's the really good part I love a lot about this match? I talk about so much psychology was in this match. Bianca, her hair was constantly getting tugged on, constantly getting pulled, being used as a weapon against her. And in the end, Bianca just goes fed up, takes her ponytail and whips Sasha right in the stomach. And man, it sounded like one of those Walter chops, like when he chopped the table in half at NXT TakeOver. And you even saw at the end of the match the welt that was right here, like on the side of her stomach. It was crazy, and you heard the sound. Whoa. And in the end, Bianca hits her finishing move, the KOD. And even before that, though, it was a big struggle. There was just so many nice things about this match. Even when Bianca had her up into some sort of power move she was about to do, Sasha was just punching at the gut, just kneeing at the head, doing whatever she can. So even though Bianca's showing off with her suplex and keeping her trying to keep the blood flowing all down into the head, Sasha is still not going down without a fight, and it's still a struggle trying to even hit that KOD. But in the end, Bianca does indeed hit the KOD and gets the 1, 2, 3, and the crowd goes crazy. You had people in the front row almost going over the barricade, falling over in celebration, people jumping up. I was jumping up in my house, running around the living room like, yes, because as a long time hardcore wrestling fan, I really mean this. If you've been watching wrestling since the 80s, the 90s, or even before, and you're still watching to this day, we've witnessed a lot of great eras and some not so great eras, great moments, not so many great moments. And nowadays, especially, you get a lot of head-scratching booking decisions. Just see the build-up for this match. But when you get to these matches and you get to these moments, this is what makes it all worth it. This is why I am proud to be a pro wrestling fan. I am proud to see these matches, and I am very proud of the main event that these two ladies delivered, delivering not just arguably one of the best women's matches in WrestleMania history, but one of the best WrestleMania matches, a defining WrestleMania match that we're going to remember, and an amazing main event. You want to ask me what I thought stole the show? It was this main event. I loved it, and the mere fact that the undercard each had something memorable about it makes it so far, like I said at the beginning of this review, this is on the verge. It is 50% there to being one of the greatest WrestleMania of all time. Hopefully they deliver on night 2. But getting back to the finish of this, Bianca, her family was there celebrating. It was just a great emotional moment. Bianca Belair, the new SmackDown Women's Champion, amazing for her to come this far in her career. And Sasha Banks, you always knew she would deserve she would earn herself a main event. Can't wait to see Bayley in a main event at WrestleMania one of these days, so all 4 horsewomen can say that they've been in a main event at WrestleMania. So yeah, as I look back at night 1 of this show, from top to bottom, really great. I really hope night 2 of WrestleMania can deliver. 24 hours later, it looks like it stayed at that 50%, as this did not go down as one of the all-time great WrestleManias. The first match, The Fiend Bray Wyatt with Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. Now, I was really hyped. After night 1, very hyped coming into this show, hoping that it's going to be a good one. And things did start off really well. The Fiend had this really awesome entrance where his body basically sort of kind of disintegrated and reformed. Just the effect was cool, and he basically was born anew. He regenerated himself, had a new mask, and came out of this Jack-in-Box that Alexa Bliss had came out to, and she had got a big pop and everything, Randy Orton as well. So you're ready. I'm thinking they're starting off. You can tell, obviously, if you can see right here with the shirt, basically how much I've been excited in terms of what they've done with the build-up. So the match was pretty much just Bray Wyatt being all over Randy Orton. They brought back the red light for some reason. Now, having seen it before at the Survivor Series 2019, I will say it doesn't look that bad in person, but I didn't see the reason for bringing it back other than maybe because there's only 25,000 fans in attendance of an 80,000 seat stadium. They wanted to use this as a way to mask the background off. As you notice, the lights were a lot more darker. But yeah, the match was going all over the place in terms of being all for Bray Wyatt, who ended up putting in the mandible claw multiple times to Randy. So Randy was just having this big struggle trying to get one up over the Fiend. But in the end, I think the Fiend was about to hit Sister Abigail, or he did, and he was about to win the match. And then Alexa Bliss, who was clearly basically getting dressed in the Jack-in-the-Box, did her transformation, because obviously since they're not taped, they can't do the hocus pocus stuff. And what happens here is Alexa Bliss ends up having the black goo just ooze down from her head, and this distracts the Fiend. I'm thinking it was something to distract Randy Orton, but Randy Orton capitalizes with the RKO 1, 2, 3 and defeats the Fiend Bray Wyatt, thanks to the distraction of Alexa Bliss, who clearly has turned on the Fiend. It just feels like this was a waste of time. All these months of build-up, all the cool visual effects, all the cool practical effects, all the cool horror theme-esque stuff that they were doing. Alexa Bliss, who I thought did a great job of carrying this entire feud, all of it amounted to nothing but for Randy Orton to get another victory over Bray Wyatt. I mean, outside of the House of Horrors match, you remember that one, Randy Orton has pretty much owned Bray Wyatt every match they've had. I was there in Orlando for that match they had at WrestleMania, just hoping to see Bray get the win, and he still didn't get the win even all these years later. So at this point, you know, I try to be as positive as I possibly could with this, but at this point, it's like the Fiend is dead. You take all this time and build his big return up just to lose again. Like, they just don't get it with Bray Wyatt. They keep having him lose over and over and over. He comes back as something strong and keeps losing over and over, and just the same thing like Goldberg last year. Alexa Bliss ends up looking at Bray Wyatt, and Bray basically, the lights go out and the lights come back on, Bray's gone, like he runs away, he just vanishes. It just feels like this was a whole big waste of time, and I was really enjoying the match, thinking that Bray was going to get the finish. Why couldn't they wait for Alexa Bliss to turn on Bray for a segment instead of defeating Bray here? Let Bray get the victory, and then maybe on the Thunderdome the next night, have Alexa Bliss turn on Bray Wyatt. So we'll see where this goes in terms of Alexa Bliss. The next match was for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending the titles against Tamina and Natalya. Well, like I said, if you're going to put both Tamina and Natalya in this match, go ahead and give them a bone. And surprisingly, I was very happy to see that the fans were definitely actually behind Tamina, so that had to be great for her with how long she's been in this company. And the match had a little nice story of Tamina and Nia Jax trying to overpower each other, whereas Shayna and Natalya were basically trying to out-wrestle each other with different submission holds. So that was pretty cool, but I gotta be honest, after that first match, the energy for me was down. It kind of sounded like the crowd was down too. But the big thing about this match is Nia and Shayna win, and I was hoping that they were gonna have Nia and Shayna drop the titles here so that they can split and have Shayna be on her own. And this is the problem when you do these matches like this with Tamina and Natalya. You have so many fans out there that, you know, don't like it basically because they always are losing. And unless you give these women significant wins over and over, it's like you can't never build any momentum with both of them. And I was like, why not? If you're gonna have them go over all those tag teams the previous night, and you're gonna, especially when you have like Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, who are both tag teams, who are actually an actual tag team and not makeshift teams like they've done with so many of these other women, if you're gonna have them go over there, then justify it. Put the titles on Natalya and Tamina, and then have them go on a dominant reign, and they'll be taken so much more serious. But in the story, it's really hard when they're constantly losing, and it's a shame to see both of them like that. So once again, this match didn't do too much for me, unfortunately. Next match, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. So these two have done battles so many times on the independent scene, ROH, NXT, and WWE's main roster, but they are now on the big stage of WrestleMania. The match was pretty decent. I believe we've all seen much better matches involving these two against each other. However, the big thing with this was Logan Paul was there, and after some nice, pretty good back and forth action, Kevin Owens ends up defeating Sami Zayn. But the real story is at the end of the match, basically, Logan Paul ends up getting into with Sami Zayn, and he pushes him down, and Sami ends up going, and now Logan is all celebrating with Kevin Owens. Now, I don't follow Logan Paul at all in terms of his content, but from what I've heard, it seems like a lot of people do not like him, basically, and so you could tell that with the crowd wanting to see the stunner. And well, Kevin Owens did not disappoint. He delivered a stone cold, very worthy stunner to Logan Paul, who, I gotta give it up to him, the man sold it. It looked devastating. It was, wow, you didn't know if you were gonna get like what you got with Donald Trump all those years ago when he arguably took the worst stunner of all time. Here, this was one of the most brutal looking stunners of all time. So a nice WrestleMania moment for Kevin Owens, but unfortunately we still don't get to see him jump off the ship like he wanted to. Next match was the United States Championship match. Matt Riddle defending the title against Sheamus. Now, this is a match we've seen probably plenty of times on Monday Night Raw, or if you're like me with Monday Night Raw, I just listen to it in the background, so it's one that I've heard many of times. That being said, we did get a segment where you knew they were going to have Rob Van Dam and Matt Riddle, and he had the Great Khali in there in a segment. But as far as this match, it was hard-hitting, pretty much what you've seen on Monday Night Raw all the time. There was a really disappointing part in the spot where I think was the move called White Noise. I forget if that's what it is. The move where Sheamus has him like basically hanging back, and he drops to his back, and they land on their back. They were going to do it from the top rope, but it didn't work out. I don't think he was positioned right. But the best part of this match definitely was the finish. So Matt Riddle does a moonsault off the second rope, and in midair, Sheamus kicks the crap out of him with the bro kick, lands a clean precision shot right on Matt Riddle's lips and busted him open, probably looks like the hard way, and pinned him 1, 2, 3. And Sheamus is now the United States champion again, though I really know that it is the Intercontinental Championship that Sheamus wants to have, because he is one of the most decorated champions in history. He's won everything but the Intercontinental title, so we'll see where they end up going with Sheamus. But yeah, that was a very worthy WrestleMania spot that we're going to remember, which is unfortunately what I felt like a lot of these matches here on night 2 lack. They lack those big moments that the first night had. had with practically all the matches. The next match was a Nigerian drum fight for the Intercontinental Championship. Big E defending the Intercontinental title against Apollo Crews. Yeah, I was digging when they turned Apollo heel and he took on this new gimmick, but then the accent happened and it seemed more like 1980s WWF. But hey, I was willing to give this all a chance. I was interested to see what in the world would this Nigerian drum fight look like. So I'm thinking they're gonna go all out and decorate it, you know, with some really nice touches of Nigerian culture. All they did in this match was just take a bunch of drums and stack them on some tables and throw in some candlesticks, and there's our Nigerian drum fight. You know, I was wondering, would they go ahead and get Ruth E. Carter, who, if you're not familiar with her, she did the designs or costume designs basically for Black Panther and Coming to America 2, the sequel, and you know, or something like that. I thought, would they bring her in to really make this match look like something that was really going to be of Nigerian culture? But it's like, it just kind of felt lazy. Like, let's take some drums, put them on the tables, and that's it. This match basically was them using a lot of candlesticks, and let's be honest, we've seen far better street fights in WWE than this one. I did enjoy the fire that we got from Big E, who did get a live entrance from Wale. However, the right person went over in this match, and that is Apollo Crews. But the way they went about it, he was pretty much all but beaten by Big E, but it was thanks to the interference of Dabba-Kato, who you might remember from the Raw Underground last year, who has aligned himself with Apollo Crews. He took out Big E and Apollo got the win that way, and so Apollo finally the Intercontinental Championship, but they couldn't have done it in the most incredible way possible. So we'll see where this goes from here. But I will say it was great to see Big E get a proper huge pop from the crowd basically being there, so it tells you that what WWE did with building him up as a singles is definitely working in terms of him being over as a babyface standalone act. The next match for the Raw Women's Championship, Auska versus Rhea Ripley. At this point in the show, I'm basically not feeling this like I was the first night. It's like this whole show at this point had been either decent, okay, but let's be honest, you expect greatness. So I was like, man, did Sasha and Bianca ever so greatly set the bar high for these ladies tonight? So we did get Ash Costello of New Year's Day to perform Rhea Ripley's song to the ring. So that was a cool entrance. It was cool seeing Auska come out in like a Jason inspired mask. And these ladies, they went at it. Definitely Auska constantly doing all the type of submissions she could to lock down the powerful Rhea Ripley, Rhea using her power. So both women definitely went at it. Unfortunately, yeah, it did not match the standard set by Bianca and Sasha the previous night. Both ladies did work hard in this match, but it didn't reach a certain high threshold that I was hoping it would. That being said, like I said, the work was still good in there, and in the end, out of nowhere it seemed, Rhea Ripley ended up hitting the Riptide on Auska and pinned her 1, 2, 3, and it's like, wow, maybe there wasn't just maybe enough near falls or quick points in this match where it made you think like, oh, she got her, no, oh, you know, which is what, you know, there were so many points where you didn't know who had who in the last match. But yeah, like I said, it went to the right decision here. Rhea Ripley going over Auska, and this is how it's done. It was crazy to think that they were gonna probably most likely have Lacey Evans, then she got pregnant, then Charlotte, who unfortunately did get COVID, and for whatever reason they left her off the show. They were gonna basically have Auska lose the title one of those ways, but this is how you do it. You bring in someone new and fresh that's over with the fans, and you have her go over using Auska, an established name, to put over Rhea Ripley clean here at WrestleMania. That's how you build a star, and I feel what we got here was sort of the John Cena and Batista moments of WrestleMania 21, but in the form this generation for Rhea Ripley and Bianca Bianca Belair, who right now look like they are poised to be the women who are going to help carry the women's division into the future, basically, now coming in after the four horsewomen, with Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, and Bayley, with what they have already paved the way for. So good stuff here, definitely the right outcome, and hopefully these two will have better matches coming up in the near future. So I mentioned previously, I did really enjoy Bayley's interactions with Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil throughout both nights of WrestleMania. There was a huge rumor that we might get a big return to come out and beat up Bayley, and that return was the Bella Twins. The Bella Twins basically beat up Bayley and then rolled her down the ramp. Honestly, when you think about it, this is why they didn't put Bayley on the show. They couldn't give a big featured match to Bayley because they needed this of all things. It's very reminiscent to me of WrestleMania 35 when everyone wanted to see John Cena take on Kurt Angle in his final match to create a wonderful story of coming full circle. But instead, they had Cena come out as a doctor of thugonomics, which was entertaining against Elias. But it's like, really, that over a match with Kurt Angle? And I say this, really, the Bella Twins beating up Bayley over Bayley having a big featured match after the amazing year she had last year, carrying the women's division along with Sasha and Auska during this pandemic that we're still in. I wasn't a fan of this, but once again, there was never any confirmation of Becky. So for those of you who got your hopes up that Becky Lynch would be involved, well, it is what it is, but I'm guessing we're going to see Becky Lynch back sooner than later. Also, I did enjoy both segments where they brought out the Hall of Famers both on night 1 and night 2, so that was cool as well. And now we get to the main event for the WWE Universal Championship, a triple threat match. Edge versus Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. Well, this easily was the match of the night. The main event definitely delivered on night 2. These three, just as you would expect, definitely went at it. The crowd reaction was one of the things that I was looking forward to the most, and as you expect, Daniel Bryan got the huge ovation with the yes chant. It was great to hear the organic yes chants from the actual real crowd. Edge came out to a massive pop, and I said even in the no DQ review, shout out to them, that it would be expected, because you got to think about, between Edge's whole year that he's come back, the only 2 times he was in an arena with audiences other than this one was the Royal Rumble comeback, and I think the night after Monday Night Raw where Randy took him out and he had to sell the injury, and when he came back, pandemic hit, everything shut down, and so it took all the way to here at WrestleMania 37 for Edge to actually once again get back in front of a live audience. So you knew the people were craving to see Edge after all these years. They barely got any time to see him in person. So that being said, Roman came out to what I thought was interesting, a mixed reaction. You heard some fans cheering and a lot of fans booing. Now, we're no strangers to seeing Roman Reigns get booed, but this time it was fairly organic. It just felt great. Even in this match, Roman is playing to the crowd. It was just so great to see that Roman getting booed this time. He's actually taking time to trash talk and stall and, make the crowd just hate him even more. Like, it just felt so organic, and that's what it was really awesome. But yeah, this match started off really hard hitting with Daniel Bryan just getting blasted by Roman Reigns, and there were just a lot of really cool, great spots in this. One of my favorites was when Roman Reigns was on the steel steps and he power bombs Daniel Bryan through the announce table, and then Edge comes out of frame out of nowhere and spears Roman off of the steel cage. I will give shout out to the production team in this one. A lot of people like to give flack for Kevin Dunn constantly missing shots nowadays, but what he did here is he actually kept the shots on the action, so that way when Daniel or Edge would come out of nowhere, they literally just jump into the frame and attack their opponent. So I really love the way this match was shot from that perspective. You had even great moments where Edge would have the crossface locked in on Roman and Daniel would have the yes lock on Roman, and they would tease several times throughout the match, is Roman gonna tap, is he? And at one point they both have their submissions, so it was like, what do they do? And then they both end up headbutting each other, trying to get one off the other, so that way Roman doesn't tap out and makes this like a tie or something. And this is great. It was like watching two animals basically fight over their prey, over the prey or the kill in the wilderness and stuff like that. That was really good. Once again, a lot of hard-hitting spears. At one point, Edge and Roman Reigns speared each other, so that was just really great. Jey Uso was also taken out of the match early by an execution on the steel steps by Edge. So it's just really great stuff, great back and forth action, and in the end, the Edge just ended up going crazy. It reminded me of what was that, when the Raw announced GM, which was eventually revealed to be Hornswoggle. I remember he went up there and he was like doing the robot voice, like, "You've got the crazy eyes, Edge." And Edge definitely had the crazy eyes. He was just well in chairs, like WrestleMania 17 Stone Cold Steve Austin style, on both Roman and Daniel Bryan. And at one point, he ends up hitting the concerto on Daniel Bryan. And you know the history with his concussions there, so they're playing that up. And this basically took Daniel Bryan out of the match for the rest of the night. And as Edge was trying to finish off Roman, Jey Uso eventually ends up coming in fully recovered. So you know that motivation he's getting from his tribal chief cousin is certainly working. And from there, Jey Uso's interference allows Roman to now get the upper hand with the steel chair, and he ends up doing the concerto to Edge after a devastating spear, and he drags Edge unconscious body, puts it over Daniel Bryan's unconscious body, and just as I predicted to my friends in our virtual chat meetup for this WrestleMania watch party, I told him Roman is gonna pin both of them. And 1, 2, 3, he sure did. Pin both of them like that. The Tribal Chief still reigns as your WWE Universal Championship. The fans are booing and Roman Reigns is talking trash to him, and there's big pyro going off. Roman gets probably his big WrestleMania moment that he would have gotten last year from defeating Goldberg, and he ends up, this being like his 5th or 6th WrestleMania main event. This was really well done. I do hope that they finally eventually start giving Roman Reigns some clean wins, so that he can be more credible instead of constantly having Jey Uso win all his matches for him. And I hope they go ahead and once again add something to Roman to keep this Tribal Chief storyline going, at least for up until you hit a year or so. And that's what I was saying. You can take someone like Cesaro and maybe build him up to take on Roman Reigns later on. And I wanted Roman to win because I looked at it, I'm like, it's the best thing in terms of the future for the company. Don't get me wrong, I understand they got all their money from Peacock, they got $1 billion, they can do whatever, right? But in terms of Roman Reigns, like, I'm looking at our options here. It's like Daniel Bryan, he's had his big moment as the champion. I look at Edge, and he's already established. Just like I said in my Royal Rumble review, he's already established, so there's no need to really give him another championship win, at least not right now. Roman Reigns is on the best run of his career currently as this champion, as the Tribal Chief gimmick. Add some more people, maybe if they can finally get Jimmy Uso back there with Jey Uso, add a Mitt Carter, add a female talent, build this whole basically Samoan dynasty that they're having, and just have Roman Reigns run the entire SmackDown land until you have someone like Cesaro or someone just who's new and fresh is built up to defeat him. But let's keep this reign going. But that being said, all three men definitely delivered, and from a real life standpoint, man, these three guys, they overcame leukemia, a bad neck, and a concussion to get here. 3 really devastating career enders right there, and all 3 of these men found their way back here in the main event. Truly an inspiration for what these 3 men were able to get here and do tonight. Awesome main event. Overall, I still think the match of the entire WrestleMania show in weekend was Bianca and Sasha Banks. But overall, like I said, night 1 was awesome. And then night 2 just went like... The matches, they weren't necessarily bad. They were just okay, all right, but you expect great, not okay, on WrestleMania. And the only thing that really stood out to me as like truly great was this main event. And then also add on the side the decent matches you got with Auska and Rhea and KO and Sammy and stuff like that. And I don't even know what the heck that booking decision was in the first couple of matches. Now, if you'd like to see more more of my WWE reviews, check out the playlist right there on the screen, and check out my other screen acting, voice acting, and filmmaking related content on the playlist right there. Don't forget to comment what you thought about the show, and remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you are notified when I release new content.